Well, I wonder whether that's one reason that the Yes camp has got into so much trouble, because just when a lot of people are feeling this, that the bullying is out of control, here comes this issue where there's even more bullying, and the vote seems to be an absolutely perfect opportunity to put the bullies back in their box. It's almost like an issue on its own, the bullying, apart from the voice.
Yeah, well,
I absolutely agree.
No, I think we're on the same page, Louise. If you attack someone personally, obviously they're going to have that response. When you put up those words on the screen, Andrew, I felt like I was reading the world's most rubbish Sigmund Freud impersonation. There's the bullying side, but there is the fact that they seem to have weaponized the language of mental health around both the voice and around these sorts of protesting issues. And it's really depressing because people then feel like, oh, well, we can't necessarily argue against them because they're taking this sort of mental health style approach to this sort of language with things like chronic anxiety. It's very disingenuous. I've actually noticed this a bit in the voice debate. And what it's meant to be doing is meant to be shutting down sensible, common sense debate. There's something quite sinister about this. And the lefty hypocrisy story, as old as time itself, we all know that. But just keep an eye out for how they use that language of mental health to try and shut down debate and stop people from having common sense arguments against what they're trying to say.
I think you're onto something there. I mean, the whole, even in universities now, where you have to have safe spaces, and if someone raises an idea that you don't agree with, it's not safe. I mean, this whole safe business is just crazy. But Louise, one interesting thing in this debate over the voice, I think it's taught the Liberals a lesson. Well, some Liberals. I'm sorry they actually need it. I thought it was quite self-evident. The lesson is this: you could actually win an argument that you believe in, no matter how popular it seems at the moment, as long as you have the guts to put that argument. Now, for ages, the Liberals didn't have that guts. They followed the polls, particularly under Scott Morrison. I mean, you think with the voice, just last December, it had more than 60% support. A lot of Liberals say, oh, we've got to give in to that. We can't fight that. The Liberals said no, and now they're winning the argument. It's amazing.
Absolutely, and I think this is what the people are crying out for in politics and our leaders is someone with a backbone, someone that actually says what they truly think, what they feel is right. Of course, listens to people, but they have the strength within them to make up their own mind and to run with that and to share people what their views are and why they feel that way. People need to grow a backbone, and because that's what people respect and that's what a true leader is.
Well, I'm going to actually draw a contrast on this very point, because you see the Liberals, I mean, they're still behind. I'm not kidding anyone there federally, but they have probably halved the gap, fighting something they were told not to. In contrast, the most timid Liberals in the country, I don't know, Louis probably think the Tasmanian Liberals, well, I'll say the Victorian ones. The latest poll now shows that with everything Labor has done in Victoria, the lockdowns, disastrous, scrapping the Commonwealth Games, massive debt, Labor is still ahead, 56.5% to 43.5%. What does that tell you?
Yeah, well, it tells you John Pesutto is such a lightweight. I'm surprised he doesn't fly away. So you're not going to get much help from the Liberals in Victoria at the moment. I may never get invited back on after making this comparison, Andrew, but I'm going to make it anyway. I think there is an interesting comparison to be made between Dan Andrews and Donald Trump. Now, hear me out. They both have this rusted-on supporter base where it doesn't matter what they do, their supporter base will rally around them if people choose to take up the fight against them, particularly if they take up the fight against them personally, because their supporters feel like they're being personally attacked. So I would just suggest to the Victorian Liberals, instead of kind of saying, oh, Dan Andrews is an idiot, or saying that Dan Andrews' policies are catastrophic, that's not going to work, and it's obviously not working. They need to instead invest in their own policies, have their own sets of principles, and then fight for those principles in the Liberal tradition. Unfortunately, at the moment, with someone like Pesutto, you're not going to get that.
That's a really interesting point. Louise, the comparison with Trump, I'd go along with Will on that one to this point, that Dan Andrews never exhibits the slightest sign of doubt, never an apology, never an admission of error, exactly like Trump. He could be sitting on a total disaster and you would think that everything's sweet because he looks so confident. Would that be the secret?
I think so, and it's really giving the sense that you own the space, owning what you believe in, and you've got that sense of conviction about it. And I think that's really what's missing in Victoria. And yes, to be frank, down here on the island too, we could use a lot more of that. So I think there's really room for growth. Well, Australia desperately needs, strong oppositions and strong Liberal governments. So I think, hopefully that reflection happens.
Well, I don't know. It probably happened to the Liberals in opposition, and they're probably going that way. Will Kingston, Louise Elliott, thank you so much indeed for your time. Really appreciate it.